Hi everyone, it's Killshot 99 Gaming. This is the Walking Dead season series finale, and I know it's late for a lot of you guys, but I did want to check in and do this on the very night that the show ends. We'll probably do a couple more streams throughout the week, maybe one on Tuesday, a little bit later on. So so many good things with the series finale and also the Talking Dead special. Did all you guys get a chance to watch both? If you did, give me a quick 999. Because I don't think there's any way we can rate this anything except a 10. But there were some individual speeches tonight in Talking Dead that hit home for me and this group and this family. So let's just go ahead and do what we always do in these reactions. If you guys do me a favor, give me your score of tonight's episode, everybody. I want to see a lot of tens on the board. Let's just show some love and support for The Walking Dead in all these years. And I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to tell you guys kind of a personal story with me and this group and some of the things that we continue to do, how I got turned on to The Walking Dead. I know I've kind of told the story a couple of times, but maybe you guys weren't in a stream where we talked about it. So before we get into a little bit of the recap and some of the things, Scott Gimple had talked about the relationships, and I'm going to try not to go too far. I see Matthew Ferrer. Thank you. Those last few minutes were beautiful. They were in both in the Talking Dead and also the television show. And I see like all these faces that are here. So when I started on YouTube about 7 years ago, I was doing gaming tutorials. And I was fortunate enough to start doing work for a company. You probably heard of them, Zynga. And Zynga was doing Empires and Allies. And it was a brand new game they wanted to promote. And I was just getting into the gaming industry and picking up a lot of subscribers and built some pretty good relationships. So, lo and behold, continued to do games, and Walking Dead Road to Survival came out, and it was such a cool game, and it had all these characters, and we had Rick, and it had the elements of gaming and cards and competing, all of the things that I like doing. And I remember one of the first videos I did is I opened up packs, and I was trying, not everybody could afford the packs, so I wanted to do them. And I got a 5-star Rick Grimes. I was losing my mind. It was like, oh my God, I got Rick, I got Rick, I got Rick. And it was such a cool experience. I didn't know who Rick was. And I continued to play, and I'd never read the comic books, and I watched the show. And as I was playing this game and learning about the characters, people just started saying, hey, you need to learn about The Walking Dead. You need to follow The Walking Dead. So I started binge watching it. And I binge watched it, and I fell in love with the show right away. I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. And our channel really came to a little bit more prominence. Many of you probably started watching our channel when we made the prediction that Negan killed Glenn and Abraham. And you can still go back and watch that video. 2.2 million people have watched that video. And our channel just absolutely exploded because of The Walking Dead. It was good with the gaming, but then many of you, that was the first video that you had seen. And you kind of walked in, and we didn't do live streams at the time. We did predictions. And it was a combination of doing the prediction videos and then doing like hidden clues, because we thought that every Walking Dead show had something where we'd go back and say, well, check this out. And they did. They planted a lot of Easter eggs. So a lot of our channel was doing videos talking about what was going to happen before the spoilers came out, and then also the hidden clues. And then we started doing bold predictions, and we created this awesome community. And then a lot of the things we've done since then has been to prepare for when The Walking Dead is no longer there. We started our own game. We started a lot of other things. And lo and behold, we got spin-offs coming, so we got more Walking Dead. So I want to thank all of you guys. I want to tell you guys that story because that's where I met most of you. And we made it part of our routine. We used to do these reaction streams at midnight like we're doing right now. We've stayed up late doing them. We've racked our brain coming up with predictions. So each and every one of you that are in this stream tonight, everybody's going to watch the playback of this. I just remember our interactions because there's been a lot of personal interactions. So thank you so much for what you have meant to this channel and what The Walking Dead has meant to this channel, and many, many more things that we're going to do together. So let's get into tonight's episode. I want you guys to leave me one moment from tonight's episode. You can't pick the Rosita death. We'll get to that. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that because we've been predicting that one for a while. So I think the gods at AMC finally heard us and said, let's just do it. But as you heard tonight, Kristen Serrata said that she wanted the character to die, that she wanted the closure to the character, and I think I did too. I really wanted the closure for the character. Rosita's always been one of my favorite characters, but I thought she just needed to die. And a couple of weeks ago, if you guys heard our stream, we said Rosita's probably going to die saving Coco, and she did die saving Coco. So we got it again, team. This is what we do. So give me some of your thoughts from tonight. You know what? Thank you so much. Absolutely. You guys are the Army. You guys are just such a big part of it. I can't tell you how many times I've just looked forward to just turning on the stream and putting the microphone on and seeing what you guys think, just what you think is going to happen and what's going on. And there's just so many stories that came out of that. So I see Matt Musgrave, Judith telling Daryl that she didn't tell him because she thought he'd leave. Yep. Jules and Luke. I thought there would be a little more, Maggie. We got a few deaths tonight, but I thought it was going to be more of a slaughter toward the end. I was 50-50 on whether Father G was going to die after, Rosita was bit. So when he went up to the gate, I'm thinking like, maybe there's a few more that are going to go, and then Eugene's going to end up raising Coco. Negan telling Maggie he was sorry. Yeah, a big part of our channel has been the redemption arc, right? I mean, you guys have seen more than a few videos where we've done that. I thought that was brilliantly done too, and I want to talk about that too. Bittersweet. So, we have always kind of been on our channel, and we've had some really fun debates. I mean, this is a couple years ago, back when you could debate almost anything, and it was friendly and it was cool, right? So, one of the debates that we've had for 3 or 4 years was how Negan would roll back into the community, and I've always been of the feeling like, how many of you guys have heard me say Negan's gonna have to save Dog, he's gonna have to save Judith, he's gonna have to save Herschel, he's gonna have to do this, and he still probably won't be forgiven. And I thought it was perfect tonight that Maggie encapsulated a lot of what we've been talking about, where she said, I'm never going to forgive you. And I thought it was so vivid. I don't want to just bring up like my thoughts to this, because we got a lot more thoughts to get to. But do you guys remember right after the Abraham and Glenn death, the one thing that I said that I thought that they did that was so hard to ever forgive Negan for was how he was like howling and dancing and celebrating. Like, if he would have just killed Glenn, like if he murders Abraham, but if he would have just shot Glenn, just done something. But for months and months, I've said that the way they did that just made it so difficult for them to redeem him and come all the way back. And it was just so neat to hear Maggie articulate that and say, the blood going down, and she wanted to save him, and he just kept mocking her. And to me, that is like, Negan will never be forgiven, right? She put the icing on the cake tonight and said, you've earned your place in our community, but I don't have to talk to you some days. I don't have to acknowledge you some days. So she's basically said, we will work together, and I appreciate you doing that because that was difficult for you to do, but I'm not going to forgive you. So I don't think there could have been, for me personally, there could not have been a more perfect ending than Rosita dying and Maggie not forgiving Negan. Now, everybody's got their own their own thoughts, right, of what you needed to happen tonight. Like some people could say, well, it was good to see Ezekiel become the governor again. So, Ezekiel kind of got his throne back. He got his place in society back. That was great. Some people may say Yumi and Magna, that relationship coming back. That was also another good moment. So there were so many good moments from tonight, but because we've talked about those themes so much, the Negan redemption arc and the Rosita death, that's what made tonight a absolutely perfect episode for me. Loved it. Loved every part of it. I'm gonna get to a couple more thoughts here. Maggie telling Negan, yep, there you go. I'm reading up right now. So go ahead and type a few more. Dog lives. There you go. You know what? That was great seeing Judith feed dog. Judith will take care. Princess and Mercer reunion. That was great. There were a lot of feel-good moments tonight. How about Carol with basically telling Pamela, like, well, we don't have to worry about who's going to stay at your house. I mean, that was great, too. I enjoyed that part of it. Matt Ferreira says, I think it's the case of she doesn't forgive him, but she's accepted that he's changed. Yes, I do agree with that. He is changed, and he's going to be something different to everybody else. But this is one, and I won't say we argued about it, but we've had some really deep conversations on, well, what would you do if somebody came up and beat down your husband with a bat? And from a character standpoint, a lot of our viewers have always said, oh, we love Negan. What if it would have been, what if it had been the other way around, or what if we'd have been through Negan's arc, or Glenn did kill those people, right? So some people always kind of defended Negan at that moment. And I've always been of the point, like, Negan at that moment, season 7, was indefensible. Like, it doesn't matter if you like him or you don't like him. There's a way to kill people, and there's a way to do that. And then when we actually made it very scrupulous and said, well, what if you had to sit there and watch it? Then the other people, then at that point they're like, okay, you kind of got a point there. I would hold that grudge forever. And I think Maggie embodied most of us tonight. Because look, a lot of you guys hated Maggie's guts when she left the show, right? I was one of those. See, I'm blaming you guys, right? I'm saying a lot of you guys. I did a pretty epic Maggie rant, but I was also one of the first to welcome her back and say, you know what? Yes, let's just bring her back. And I am looking forward to these spinoffs. Like, I'm not sad. And I'm going to tell you why. So let's do this. All right. I'm going to do poll number 2 for all of you guys. Are you sad, yes or no, that The Walking Dead has ended? Type in your chat right now. And if you type yes, I'm gonna convince you otherwise. I'm going to turn it all around for you. Because I am not. But I want to see the yeses out there. I want to see how many people are sad that The Walking Dead has come to a close. Yeah, I mean, some people don't. April Russell, yes. Sheila, yes. There's going to be some yeses out there. Go ahead. It's all good. Give me your yeses because, usually I get a score, right? And then I try to talk about things and hopefully it changes your score. Here's why you should not be sad. Because as a super fan, the story is over. They were running out of narrative for all of these people. It's just too impossible to keep us entertained with just great episodes every week. So many personalities, so many things. You get lost in the shuffle. You can't circle back and redo everything. These spinoffs are going to be the best thing to happen to the show in the last few years. Those of us that have been here for a long time, yes, we get nostalgic. We enjoy all the characters, all those moments. But admittedly, and let me ask you guys a follow-up. This past couple seasons, you guys have been scoring these episodes 7s and 7.5s. So for us as fans, we've been saying, yeah, it's good. It's good. We're watching. But it hasn't really kind of given us that suspense and that epicness week after week after week that we love. We're not going anywhere. Of course we're not going anywhere. But here's what this does. You got Negan and Maggie in New York. You probably got Daryl down in New Orleans. Then you got Rick and Michonne. So I think these spinoffs are going to inject so much life into the series again. They're going to make us watch. They're going to make us want to talk about it. It's going to be like edge of your seat stories. And we have not had that. Tonight was the first time I felt that in The Walking Dead in the last couple seasons. I got to be perfectly honest with you guys. It's the first time that I felt like, look at the people dying. I loved it because that's what draws you in emotionally. It's almost as if they've been afraid to kill off main characters and do those things that they used to do that made the show so unpredictable. So, I don't know. I don't know if he's in France. That's the thing. Yes, they're speaking. He's on a motorcycle, and maybe he's in France. Maybe he's in a French-speaking area. That's what I was trying to figure out, Diana C. I was like, where is he? See, they're talking about castles, or I don't know what the Apocalypse have done and what they built up, or is he in another country? Is he in a part of the United States that has been taken over? It's going to be very interesting to see how that story plays out. But yeah, there is some maybe there you go. Could be Canada. Could be Canada. Could be New Orleans. Possibly. So that I think is going to be exciting, and the characters that they start to develop. But wherever they are, I'm down for it. I'm down for it because I think it's going to be such a cool storyline watching where people get taken. Donkey Punch. I don't know. Throwaway characters. We've seen a lot of that lately. But I think there's a fine line, and fear kind of turned us on to that. I don't know. I haven't seen spoilers, and I haven't seen what the show is going to be and how much of it they've taped. So we will find out how he gets there. That would be something. I don't think he can just wake up in France, right? It's got to be vote. So you still have the story of how he gets there, where he goes to get there, all of the above. Love the finale, excited for the spinoffs, absolutely. See, that's kind of what I feel, Seth. I feel like it's going to be kind of, he's going south. He's going to end up in Nolans. I don't know. But maybe he gets to France. We shall see. But, that's part of it. It is great. It is great conversation. See, this is what we're already doing. We're on the finale, and we're already planning out, like, how the Daryl show is going to take shape. It's got capsules, and they speak French. That's what we know so far. And it's got some horse and carriage. Hey, I was in a horse and carriage in the French Quarter myself at one point. But we don't know what part of the even the US, what they built up at this point. Because we've seen some crazy things in The Walking Dead already. Yeah, I saw the commercials. The commercials were good. So let me ask you guys this. So we know we got the spinoffs. Have the characters ridden off into the sunset? I mean, it seems like a little bit of a waste, doesn't it, to have, where's Aaron? Where's Jerry? What about Mercer? What about Ezekiel? Now, again, they're alive and well, but if you're writing these spinoffs, I think that gives you so much where Donkey Punch was talking a little bit ago and said, no throwaway characters. Well, there's your solution for throwaway characters. Because now you can kind of pick cameo performances. Might see Lydia with a pizza cutter. Well, I think Angela Kang addressed that tonight, that they had to tell a certain story, and the story tonight was really about Judith, Rosita, Daryl, and Carol. So she even admitted, like, there were so many things that we could not completely tell the story. I didn't feel like tonight felt rushed. Did you guys feel that? Because I thought it was as close to a perfect episode. I mean, we could have probably made this 5 hours and given everybody a complete exit. But I thought there was enough. But there's also some people still out there in the universe that might be able to make an appearance on something. Guys have heard me say many, many times, wish Simon would have stayed alive, went to Fear. Wish Beta or somebody like a serious Walker, Whisperer, not Walker, Whisperer, was out there lurking. But if they can bring characters back from the dead, Madison, anything is possible for the show. But just like, if you guys remember, when they killed Rick, they had this big, big event. But just like them saying Rick is gone, I think The Walking Dead is gone. So I don't think you go through this and you have this big gala and all these people there, and 2 years from now you say, guess what? Walking Dead's coming back. I think those days are done. Now, contractually, there might be some incentive for them to do spinoffs. One, I would say, I don't, and again, I'm speculating. This is speculation only. It's possible Robert Kirkman, Frank Darabont, it's possible the original TV negotiations with AMC might have been through the Walking Dead franchise. This is what I mean by that. As long as this series continues to go, I'm sure there's extra hands that have their hands in the cookie jar. And it's possible that they bought naming rights for some of the spinoffs without having to pay the complete royalties to some of the other people. That could be part of the decision-making process. Maybe they're paying a little bit less to expand the universe a little bit more. But I certainly know when you have a show that has this many headliners, it's expensive. I mean, think about it. Daryl has his own show. You pay Norman a whole lot of money. But you're not paying all of the other actors, whether they're A-listers or B-listers, you're not paying all of them. Makes sense. And you can probably tell a better story if you develop the characters the right way. And here's what I know. I don't think this audience, I don't think this family, I don't think this group is going to let a Walking Dead spinoff fail unless it is like the world beyond bad. It's got to be really, really bad. But when you have Negan and Maggie in one, Rick and Michonne in one, Daryl in another one, you're going to stay close to the core of what they're doing. And with that, I think we'll be there to support it. Yeah, I missed that too. I'll have to go back and watch like the last 10 minutes or so and see if I can find Chandler. But yeah, it's cool. I hope, this is what I hope. I hope that when they get the core spinoffs back, you can almost say core franchise, Sheila, there's a few. I mean, I'm sure there's people that liked it. I would just say, based on the general consensus and the ratings, there weren't a lot. I mean, there were people that liked the movie Freddy Got Fingered, but there wasn't a lot that liked that movie either. So again, to each their own. But I found the whole franchise in disarray. We went from The Walking Dead to Fear to The World Beyond to there's going to be a Rick movie to there's not going to be a Rick movie to let's take a break because of COVID to let's film because of COVID, let's end the series, and then a lot of things happened. So it does seem like there's some direction, and how they tie the Rick Michonne to the Maggie Negan is going to be very interesting. But I think the Daryl, I'll give you guys my thoughts on this, okay? I think that the Rick Michonne is for closure. I think that the Negan Maggie is for bigger universe. And I think Daryl is a reboot of The Walking Dead. So I think Daryl's story is going to be much like Rick's initial story. It's going to start a whole new Walking Dead. Give me a 999 if you guys agree with that. I think Daryl is the new Rick Grimes in a brand new reboot of The Walking Dead, and the other spinoffs are tying the story back together. So I think we're ready for phase number 2. And as much as we liked Rick in the beginning, that's going to be Daryl's navigation path. Where, he's kind of like out there. You think he's looking for people and finding people. And no. Daryl's going to be like completely different. He's going to find new people and new things. And at some point, we're probably going to forget about the Rick Daryl narrative because Daryl's out doing his own thing. And we're gonna really get attached to that. Well, we're already attached to that character. So we'll get more attached to that character. But then the big 4, I think those are closures to their stories. Chris, I agree with you to a point. I don't agree with you with the Daryl part, though. I really think Daryl is going to become a franchise. Yes, there's the backdrop of the bad people being out there and who he's going after. But I see, Rick on the horse as a sheriff riding through. And I think Daryl's doing the same thing, but just at a much further point in time. Where Daryl's not naive to what's going on around him like Rick was. Daryl knows what's going on, but they're going to put Daryl in an alternate universe where he doesn't even speak the language. So that's going to be some of his difficulty. There'll always be elements to it. But the more we get drawn into the old story, it's still the old story. And something needs to happen in The Walking Dead to give us a new story. Now, it would be kind of cool if he brought Mercer with him. I could see like Daryl and Mercer out there slaying. But we shall see. Do you think there'll be season 2s of spinoffs? I do. So my thoughts on that would be, yes, I think there'll be at least 2 seasons of each of the spinoffs with Maggie and Negan and Rick and Michonne. The Daryl story, I think, becomes a brand new Walking Dead. I'm gonna stake that right now and say that thing is gonna have 5, 6, 7 seasons. They're gonna build new characters, new story, new challenges around it, without the silliness of the slow walking, I'm going to come up behind you and eat you walker. Okay? So I think that, and I've said this for probably the past 6 months, we're transitioning into science fiction walkers as opposed to the initial walkers. Because there's only so many times you can be stuck in a hospital and there's only one exit and slow moving walkers are walking behind you. We had walkers tonight with rocks breaking windows. That's what the future of The Walking Dead is. It's these advanced walkers who are evolving. And they're going to make it more challenging. So Verrett says his thoughts on the finale. You know what? Here's what I'd say on Reddit. Anybody that thinks this finale is garbage, I don't care what forum they're on, what platform they're on, they're not a Walking Dead fan. This episode was absolutely not garbage. Maybe they didn't like the sappy Thanksgiving dinner type of thing, but, here's what you got to understand. A lot of times, if the story, and I'm just speaking in general, Verid, okay? Sometimes people just take the devil's advocate just so they can get the attention on them as opposed to something else. And I think that's what happens. Like, hey, let me go post this episode as garbage. Ray Nation says, nah, it was garbage. Sorry. Well, you know what? There you go. You're garbage. I mean, what are you doing here? It's like, go away. If you just pop in a stream just to say, this is the night. There's an example. What are you here talking about the show for? We're here to celebrate it. The finale was excellent. It tied up a lot of things. You don't have to kill all the characters in the finale. And that's my point. This guy made my point, Ray Nation. All right? That's one of the people that post on Reddit, right? It's 12:37 at night. You just watched the episode. You just watched Talking Dead. And now you're jumping from channel to channel to jump in there and tell somebody that the story's garbage. Go to bed, man. Go to bed. Go get some sleep. If you don't like the show, good news for you. It's over. Right? Go celebrate. Go to bed. So it doesn't mean that every loose end had to be tied. You can't do that. There's great questions. What about Cindy and Oceanside? I think those are great questions. At some point, you might have to go back and tell those stories. I don't disagree that there's some things that we don't know. But I would disagree with anybody that said that, first of all, give kudos to all the actors. The actors were incredible tonight. Great, great group. This is probably on a TV show one of the best assemblies of actors you will see. So give them their respect. I thought the story was really good. Do I think that the season was epic Walking Dead? No, because personally I think the Commonwealth storyline sucked. I mean, I'm just being honest. I never liked it. I didn't like what I heard about it from the comics. I didn't like taking it in that direction. But that's where they are. We also got a year time skip. So I got Wisco Bisco. I'm really glad the show gave some proper closures, honored so many of the characters. So many popular shows never get satisfying proper endings. So I'm glad The Walking Dead did. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that sentiment. Now, again, some of you might have really liked the Commonwealth. I thought it was a very difficult story to tell. But there were moments in it. There were moments in it that I liked. But this is why I like this one so much. Because it got me out of the Commonwealth. You know, Barrett says, I like the finale. I felt it was a little bit rushed, though. Maybe adding another part would be continued this summer would have helped. I don't know. It's like, I don't know that you can ever satisfy everybody. For me, it was a good place. For me, it had all the elements. I think you're going to have some people that would say, I need a little bit more. But where do you draw the line? You got to draw the line somewhere. And I think they're ready to draw the line and say it's spinoff time. So let's also not make the mistake of thinking that some of that's not going to be discussed in the spinoffs. That transition. I mean, we time skipped a year, and it's not the first time we've time skipped. Chris, I agree with that too. So I generally felt those actors were saying real goodbyes to each other in those scenes tonight. Dual intent. They were. They absolutely were. There were some moving scenes in that where it's like, this is the end. I especially thought the moment that Rosita kind of whispered to Father G, I thought that was the perfect way to bring closure to that, or to finally tell the story. And then you see Judith's like this look on her face, like, what's going on? Related in some regard. Um, I mean, they have to tie it in. What makes Maggie and Negan leave? Right? There's got to be something that makes them leave. So there's got to be more story to the Commonwealth location. Daryl's already gone. Gimple said earlier at Red Carpet, he's already planning past the upcoming spinoffs. He should. I mean, we're here for it, right? Carol saying goodbye to Daryl felt like Melissa saying goodbye to Norm. You know what? Especially since she's not going to be on the spinoff. I thought that was interesting because we had this word like the Daryl and Carol. You know, you had Michonne and Rick, and you had Negan and Maggie, then you had Daryl and Carol, and then Melissa backed out of it. So they were saying goodbye. It appeared as if Melissa's done with the franchise. But we shall see. Yeah, I agree with that too, Villar. I thought the time skip was good. Like, hey, Rosita's dead. But, you know, you're going to have some Walking Dead maximalists that are going to say, like, who killed Rosita? I got to see it. Was it Daryl? Was it Eugene? Who put her down? I'm okay with not knowing that. Yeah, I just needed two things out of tonight's episode, and I got both of them. So I was pretty happy with that. All right, I got a question for all of you guys. How many of y'all are 999 subscribers and we start doing previews, bold predictions for all the spinoffs? How many of you guys are going to be right here talking about it? Because we're going to do some big predictions. But we do them without the spoilers. So we'll watch an episode and then we'll go into it and then we'll break it down. Because for some people tonight, it was the end of an era. It was the end of, hey, they're not going to act together. They're not going to be on the same set. For us, the group that likes to get together and talk about it, we've got more to come. So tonight was the closing of one door, but it opens up a lot of brand new doors. And you guys know we're only a click away. So in the meantime, while we're looking for Walking Dead news, yeah, we'll do a bold prediction here or there. We'll get some news out there. But as I mentioned to many of you guys, we also have a really, really cool portal we're working on, which is our own inventory management website. And when we go live with that, we're hoping, fingers crossed, within another month, we'll do a live stream here. We're gonna have you guys come in, sign up. We'll do contests, we'll do events. You go in, you can set up an account on it. You'll get news from us as well. But we'll also tie that into some of our predictions, some of the other things that we do on our channel. And I get a lot of requests from some of our old school subscribers. They're like, Kills, when are you going to read comics again? You stopped on like episode 100 and you guys, man, I read like 120 issues of comics live. So yes, there are more, but at least I know how the story goes a little bit more now. But I get requests to do gaming tutorials. I get requests to do old school gaming, to go back and read some of the comics, to do the Walking Dead streams, to get together and talk about it. And then 3 or 4 nights a week, we're playing our own game that we created. So there's a lot. There's a lot that we have going on, and I plan to add more to it. But the one thing is, I didn't want you guys to feel like trivia night as well. Freestyle Fridays we used to do, but now we play on Friday nights. But I didn't want you guys to think that just because one show ended, that's our channel. Somebody had told me, I don't know what it was. It was a few years ago, and said, Kills, you better hope The Walking Dead never ends, because your channel is it's going to be nothing when The Walking Dead ends. And there's just so many cool things that we've done and so many relationships that we built. So, and even if it were, we would find other things to talk about, because I love this group. I love hanging out with you guys. We've talked about TV shows. We've talked about movies. We've done trivia nights. All of the above. So I am going, look, we're about 48 minutes. Time flies on What an Epic Night. And we're about 48 minutes in and just have an absolute blast. So let me do this. I'm going to wind it down, because some people, hang on, Chris says, got to give us some of your thoughts, Kills, on the most memorable streams covering the Walking Dead series. All right, you know what? I will. I think, a lot of people, Chris, would go back and say it was the predictions that we did with Glenn and Abraham, and I enjoyed those. Believe me, I did a lot of them, so I enjoyed those a lot. But I think it was, my favorite was the Rick. Okay, and this kind of went under the radar a little bit, because I know you guys remember the Glenn Abraham. Everybody does. Like, yeah, we remember you predicted that before Spoiling Dead's fan page, so on and so forth. But the one that I got, and I never got proper credit for this, is, and maybe you guys remember this video. There was a video, or there was a picture that was circulating. And Animal, I can't do it on the spot. I'll try to do it in a little bit, but I'm not like Ross. I just can't drop it and then do the alpha voice. It's just got to be something that flows. But the particular picture was Rick, and he was hugging Michonne, and just above his hip was a patch. It was a blood patch. You guys remember that? Nobody made a big deal about that. And I did a video and I circled it. And I said, Rick is either going to be stabbed or his side's going to be punctured. And people were like, that's so weird. That's so weird. And we talked about that multiple times. And I remember, like, I circled it, like, right in there on that patch. And it was just something like, how could they not see that? How could they not know that? And I'm like, they're just doing this to fool me, because this is like some detective stuff. Lo and behold, he gets thrown off a horse and rebar goes through his side. Like, okay. I mean, the picture was there for us, because I was thinking, like, somebody's going to stab him, or they're going to jump out and stab him, or it's going to be a walker. Now, look, I didn't know he was going to fall off a horse, but that puncture wound in his side was so obvious on that picture. We started calling him Rebar Rick. And so those streams, to me, who was filming, where they were at, um, I remember saying, there's no way Rick is going to die. Like, he's not going to die. He's not going to die. And we see all this explosion. We see everything else. And then we find out he doesn't die. So I felt like at that time, though, and to me, you ask a question like, what are the most memorable? It's easy to say that Rick's not going to die, but then tying it into why he's not going to die made sense. It was that not just that you can profit off of him in future spinoffs, it was the fact that the memory or the hope that Rick is out there is what the Walking Dead community is all about. And that's what I think they'll try to do to a certain extent with Daryl. E. Beach, kills your content is excellent, but more importantly is the good people that make up the army. The combination can't be beat. Go 9 in an army. You know what, Eric? We call it a deacon, if you guys don't know. But a lot of people found that out, Eric, even in times that we don't talk about The Walking Dead. And that's one thing, when we created our game called Play Dead Live, and they have factions and they have groups, there's just a lot of personal bonding and relationships that are in that group. It's hard to explain in one of our Walking Dead streams. And you guys, most of our Walking Dead fans have seen us play, and they've seen some of the events and how we do it. And some people are like, hey, it's confusing. There's a lot to it, and it is. But what they don't know is the behind-the-scenes planning, the strategies, and the support that all of the people that are on our channel or play our game have for each other. So some know, some don't. Some don't have the time. Mando, you know what? I didn't think they would change, but I did find it interesting that Mercer put his orange armor back on, right? So he's in this cell and he's wearing this blue outfit, and then first thing he does when they blow open the door, he's like, they don't show him fighting it. It's like he can't be normal. He's got to put on his orange outfit again. That's just so Mercer. They could have given him a couple scenes where he just, walked around with his blue shirt on, but no. Like, hold on, you guys, I'll be out there in a minute. I gotta get my cushioning. So, I didn't bring this up, but I'll give you one more. And this just kind of hit me a little bit ago, because maybe you guys remember this, maybe you don't. But we talked about the bold prediction. And it was like, Rick's been going all these years. Why would he not come back and save them? So I think we got a taste of that tonight. Did they call him Detainee or Assignee Grimes tonight? One or the other. But did you guys kind of see what's happening? They got a chip up in him. And think about this. I want this to be super, super important to you guys. So one of the streams we did when Rick was gone, you guys said like, well, hey, why doesn't he come back? Why doesn't he come back? So I said, one of three things probably happened. One, they've convinced him that everybody is dead. It's number one. Number two, they let him escape to a certain point before they track him down, and they're psychologically breaking this man down. And you might say, hey, you can't break down Rick Grimes psychologically. But he looked like he's got the rings on his shirt, and he's out there like fishing and killing stuff. And they're just letting him get to a certain point, and then they're reeling him back in. So they're keeping him under constant surveillance. So every time he breaks out, Rick is probably like that prisoner. He just keeps kind of going out doing their dirty work, and once they think he's leaving, bring him back in, bring him back in. So there has to be some, hey, your family's all dead, or we're going to go kill your family if you do that. So they still got leverage over him. So what Michonne is going to do, or what Maggie and Negan are going to do, they're going to break that leverage. And that's going to be a big part of the story. Crazy. Barefoot Rick made me think of Die Hard. Well, you know what the secret is, Crazy L. So you take off your shoes and your socks and you get to your place you're going and you make fist with your toes. Isn't that what they said in Die Hard? So maybe Rick is making fist with his toes in the mud. All right, and on that note, everybody, we're an hour in. I got one more question for all of you guys. Yes or no? Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Leave it in right now. Yes or no? What do you think about Die Hard? When you leave your comment, I'm going to give you one last shout out for the Walking Dead finale. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate all of you guys being here. Thanks for staying up late tonight. Do not unsubscribe. And in fact, tell people to subscribe, because when the spinoffs come, you guys know that we're going to be streaming them. We're going to be talking about them. We're going to be doing all of the stuff that we normally do. We ain't going nowhere. So I see Amy Bones, thank you for being here tonight. Maggie B, April Russell, Madison Dickey, great to see you. Walani, Julia Muse, my mods are awesome. Chris, thank you so much for the questions. Crazy L, good to see you. Our green team, our people that sign up, subscribe to the channel, thank you guys so much. We got Animal, Nixie, Tim Lamora, Valar, JJ, the Captain. That's right. Kel, thank you so much. Appreciate all of you guys being here. Get those opinions out there. Never know what we're liable to do. We're liable to just turn on the mic and do a trivia night out of the blue. Nav Malcolm, good seeing you again, my friend. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you guys. Mando, appreciate it. Yippee-ki-yay. You better believe it. The Deacon in the house. Diana C. never. What? No. Go see it, Diana C. Absolutely. Absolutely classic. All right. If I missed you guys in a shout out, I will catch you next time. Mr. Balance, good to see you. Busy B, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate everything you guys do. Our Play Dead Live fans, we'll be back here tomorrow night. We got a match for you guys, and everybody else, stay tuned. You never know when we're going to put a Walking Dead stream together or make our portal announcement. B-Dub, I see you. Thank you, everybody. Some of you guys are on a little bit of delay, but we'll see you very soon. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.